You're a boy, my dear. Surely you know that. Why do you ask?
Well, because people say I have long hair. And I wear girls' clothes, so they ask me if I am a boy or a girl.
You are definitely a boy, my dear. Don't mind what people say. You are a beautiful boy, especially with your fine long hair.
Where the devil is that boy? Oscar? Hello? Oscar? Ah, there you are. How are you, old chap? You look sort of, what should I say, pensive.
Yes, I am indeed thinking. How very observant of you. I don't often do that. Thinking is dangerous.
Thinking of what precisely?
Of Isola Francesca. I was reading the poem I wrote in her memory. I like to read my own poem. I read it often. Have I read it to you? Shall I read it to you now?
Yes, I've heard it before, Oscar, but I'm content to hear it again. Oh, but Oscar, I must tell you, I have someone outside whom I'd like to meet. He should be here shortly. What have you got to? Meanwhile, please do read it to me.
Tread lightly. She is near under the snow. Speak lightly. She can hear the daisies grow. All her bright golden hair tarnished with rust. She that was young and fair fallen to dust.
Oscar, dear friend, you are hurting yourself. Tormenting yourself. If you persist to think about your dear departed sister Isola, will become deranged. Let her go, I beg you. Let her pass.
She is my sister. That is, she was my sister, whom I love. Loved, no, I still love her and cherish her very dearly. Lily-like, white as snow. She hardly knew she was a woman, so sweetly she grew. Coffin board, heavy stone lie on her breast. I vex my heart alone. She's at rest. Peace. Peace. She cannot hear lyre or sonnet. All my life's buried here. Heap earth upon it.
Yes. Of course, I do understand that. That was beautiful, Oscar. But dear Oscar, tomorrow you have a very big day in front of you. You have to read Ravenna. And you have to receive your Newdigate Prize. Well earned, if I may say so. It'll just be you. Not to the entire college. All those professors, judges. You should not depress yourself. You need to lift your spirits, prepare yourself. You need to muse, ponder, and reflect upon tomorrow's great event.
Thoughts of Isola inspire me, soothe me, calm me. No, I will not just read Ravenna tomorrow. I will perform it like one of the great Shakespearean actors. For dearest Isola Francesca.
Who are visiting our college for the first time, we extend a sincere and hearty welcome. And to those of you who are known to us and dear to us, we offer our most warm welcome. The Newdigate Prize was instituted in 1805, and since that time it has been won by some illustrious personages. The winning poem should have an inspirational effect upon all who are confronted by it. The judges have made their decision, and they believe that Mr. Wilde's poem is worthy of being in that category. Mr. Wilde, I agree with them. Congratulations.
his stood up to fight for liberty, and called him from Ravenna. Never knight rode forth more nobly to wild scenes of fight. For, as the olive garland of the race, which lights with joy each eager runner's face, as the red cross which saveth men in war, as a flame-bearded beacon seen from far by mariners on a storm-tossed sea, such was his love for Greece and liberty. Byron, thy crowns are forever fresh and green. Red leaves of rose from Sapphic Mytilene should bind thy brows. The myrtle blooms for thee, in hidden glades by lonely Castley. The laurels want thy coming, all are thine, and round thy head one perfect wreath will twine. Good Lord, such joviality. Mama, this will be such a fine do. Thank you for this. Head willing. Mama, who are all these gracious people?
My dear, some of you know, but I must introduce you to someone straight away. She is a poetess and she loves Keats and poetry generally. Excuse me, Miss Lloyd. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I must simply introduce you to my son, Oscar. Oscar, this is Miss Constance Lloyd. I feel that you two
How
would...
do you do, Mr. Wilde? I'm delighted to meet you. I've heard and read a lot about you and read your works.
I am very well, thank you, Miss Lloyd. Delighted you could come.
I hope you two will have a great deal in common, and not just with poetry. You both have a sophisticated appreciation of English and Irish literature. Well, Miss Keats here, Miss Lloyd here, does adore Keats. That's why I always call you Miss Keats, isn't it? But I believe she may also be an admirer of yours, my dear.
Miss Lloyd, do you truly love art in all its variety?
I love art of many descriptions, Mr. Wilde. Perhaps not in the way that you do. I love poetry, good writing generally. Your appreciation for art is far deeper than mine. For example, I read and admire Keats. You not only read and admire Keats, but also write poetry about Keats.
May I call you Constance while you call me Oscar?
Oh, please do, Oscar. Call me Constance. Yes, do.
It's all too brief, I'm afraid, Constance, but I must circulate. You see, I cannot stay long. I must be shared out amongst people like a tray of Mama's canapes among many people. But I will appreciate you calling at my mother's house again soon. And then who knows, we may perhaps meet again.
I hope so, Oscar. I will surely call again.
Until next time, then.
Indeed. I will look forward to it. Came yesterday about 5:30, by which time I was shaking with fright. Stayed a total of half an hour. He begged me to come see his mother again soon. I can't help but liking him because when he talks to me alone, he's never a bit affected. Speaks naturally, accepting that he uses better language than most people.
Agenda item 15, Mr. Librarian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have received from Mr. Oscar Wilde, an alumnus who needs no introduction, a rather beautifully inscribed presentation copy of a book of his poems to be placed in the library should we wish it. It's rather lovely.
Sir.
Mr. Elton?
Oliver Elton, sir. Mr. President. I object to this volume being placed in the library. It is not that these poems are thin and they are thin. It is not that they are immoral and they are immoral. It's not that they are this or that, and they are this or that is that. For the most part, these poems are not by their putative father at all, but by a host of better known and more deservedly reputed authors. They are in fact by William Shakespeare, by Philip Sidney, by William Morris, by John Donne, by Lord Byron, by Algernon Swinburne, and by 60 more whose works have furnished the list of passages which I hold in my hand at this moment. The Union Library already contains better and fuller editions of all these poets' works. This book of poetry belongs to them, not Mr. Wilde. And I move that it be not accepted.
Mr. President, Mr. Elton, members, I feel that we should not look a gift horse in the mouth, especially when the horse is a thoroughbred stallion, and feel Mr. Elton's eloquent objection not to be taken seriously.
Sir, on the contrary, I am quite serious, and I demand a vote.
All those against, please indicate now. All those in favor, please indicate now. Presentation is rejected. Volume shall be returned to the presenter.
Sorry, oh boy. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen. This is Mr. Oscar Wilde, Professor of Art and Aesthetics. He's going to talk to you about the home beautiful. Now, listen to Mr. Wilde. You may learn something. And don't you try and intimidate Mr. Wilde by threatening to shoot him. No, like you did 2 days ago.
Good evening, gentlemen. I am from Ireland, where we Irish fought Ireland.
What?
Ireland, where we Irish fought against empire as you did. You have thrown off the shackles of a tyranny, and we Irish intend to do the same. We must rid ourselves of 7 centuries of injustice. Now, I want to talk to you about beauty. Colorado is a beautiful state, quite enchanting. Now, let me tell you about Benvenuto Cellini. Benvenuto Cellini wrote a most charming book, an autobiography. When I was about 5 years old, my father happened to be in the basement chamber of our house, where they had been washing and where a good fire of oak logs was still burning. He had a viol in his hand and was playing and singing alone beside the fire. The weather was very cold. Happening to look into the fire, he spied in the most burning flames a little creature like a lizard, which was sporting in the core of the intensest coals. Becoming instantly aware of what the thing was, he had my sister and me called, and having us there, he gave me a great box on the ears, which made me howl and weep with all my might. Then he pacified me good-humouredly and spoke as follows. My dear boy, I am not striking you for any wrong that you have done, but rather to make you see that that lizard which you see in the flames is a salamander, and a creature that has not been seen by anyone of whom we have any credible information. So saying, he kissed me and gave me some pieces of money.
Great guy, Mr. Cellini. Why, Mr. Cellini, where are you now?
I did not bring him because he's dead.
The Shahead. Dig him up and we'll hang him in here. It's been 2 days since we hanged a man in here.
We're now going to take a short... No.
When Narcissus died, the pool of his pleasure changed from a pool of sweet waters into a cup of salt tears. And the Oreads came weeping through the woodland that they might sing to the pool and give it comfort. And when they saw that the pool of his pleasure had changed from a pool of sweet waters into a cup of salt tears, They loosened the green tresses of their hair, and they cried to the pool, "We do not wonder that you weep for this manner for Narcissus. So beautiful was he." "But was he beautiful?" answered the pool. "Who should know better than you?" said the Oreads. "Us he would ever pass by. But you he sought for, and would lie on your banks, and look down at you, and in the mirror of your waters, he saw his own beauty, mirrored." And the pool answered, "But I loved Narcissus because, as he lay on my banks, and looked down at me, I saw ever my own beauty, mirrored."
That is real sweet poetry, Mr. Wilde, real sweet. Question, why do you like to be in the public eye so much?
I like to be in the public eye so I can poke at it and irritate it. Any other questions?
Mr. Robert Ross is here, dear. I thought he was the man who will be staying with us for a while. Isn't he coming tomorrow?
Yes, it is he, my dear. Will you put the children to bed and I will deal with Robert. Is his roommate ready?
I will ensure the room is ready after I put them to bed.
Constance, dear, would you kindly ask Robert to come up?
Would you mind doing that, Oscar? I will be busy with the children. I will have to read to them.
Yes, of course I will, my dear. Constance? Sorry, nothing. Come in, Bobby.
Good afternoon, Oscar.
Good afternoon. We have allocated a room to you, and it will be ready now very soon. We shall see. Would you like to take a seat?
Thank you.
You are a paying guest, am I right?
You are correct. £40 a month, I think, is the amount.
Yes, I suppose so, Bobby. You are welcome to dine with us whenever you wish. Have you dined already?
I have.
I hope you'll get to like and tolerate the boys. They are delightful boys, most of the time, that is. They are like boys everywhere, I suppose.
Boys will be boys, Oscar.
Yes. The bard says that all the world's a stage and that we, the rest of us, are merely players. When I was 4 years old, I was playing with some friends of mine, and one of these friends asked me if I was a boy or a girl. Well, I didn't know which one I was. Imagine. So much later, someone told me that when I was much smaller, my mother typically used to dress me as a girl because she would have preferred a girl rather than a boy. So I had to ask her which one I was, and she didn't know either.
Did she not decide which gender you are?
I can't remember what she said. Or perhaps she couldn't remember or decide which gender I was.
Perhaps the jury is still out on the matter, Oscar. The truth is, we have both genders contained within us all, every person. You are quite hedonistic, rather like me, aren't you, Oscar?
I am. I believe in a pleasure for pleasure's sake. Pleasure is rather pleasurable, my dear, is it not?
Pleasure is certainly very pleasurable, and pleasure is all the more erotic for both of us, there being no door to lock. Pleasure is...
My word, Bobby, you are very forward. Orgasm has become a rather scarce commodity since Constance gave birth to the children. She doesn't wish to copulate anymore. But of course I do. She has become too fat for me to be interested in her. But she is a good woman, a dear wife and mother, and I still love her. Oh, Bobby, my goodness, old chap, my word. Oh, Bobby!
Good afternoon, Oscar.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, Oscar.
Pray, choose a seat. Make yourselves comfortable. Sherry, perhaps?
Oh, no, thank you, Oscar. my good friend Alfred, Lord Alfred Douglas. Alfred is also known as Bosie. You like to be called Bosie, don't you?
I allow my most intimate friends to call me Bosie.
In which case, Lord Alfred, may I presume to call you Bosie? If I permit you to call me Oscar.
You may call me Bosie, Oscar. That would be very nice.
I gather you are the second son of the famous Marquess?
Third son, actually, yes. I have heard that you tend to favor people of an elevated status. But I'm afraid I'll never become the Marquise. I have two older brothers.
Becoming a Marquess would thrust you too much into the limelight, Bosie. That would not suit my style at all. I'm not at all enamoured of members of the House of Lords. Many of my enemies are in the House of Lords. You'll be wise to stay as you are. Do not attempt to poison your brothers. You are quite perfect as you are. You certainly would not need to become a Marquess to please me.
What would I have to do to please you?
What? Well, just be yourself, Bosie. Just be your charming self, and I, for my part, promise you always to be myself.
Always, Oscar.
That is what you wish.
That is my wish, Oscar. Thank you kindly.
May I use the WC, Oscar?
It's on the landing. Be a good chap and close the door on your way out. There's a good fellow. Bosie, dear fellow. I suppose my height is quite intimidating to you. Do you mind standing? Bosie, dear friend. How old are you?
20.
You're a very attractive young man. You have the most beautiful eyes. To me, they are Irish eyes. They appeal to my love of intense beauty.
That's very sweet thing to say to me, Oscar. I appreciate it. I love poetry. I would like to say that I very much admire your work, particularly your poems. I do, I'm a poet. Though none of your class, of course.
Send me some of your work. I will read it. Praise it for you, criticize it for you. It is a sincere observation to say that you... Oh, hello, Lionel.
Bosie, if you and Oscar wish to talk a little longer, I am happy to go for an extended walk. It's quite a fun day out.
What do you think, Oscar? But of course, if you're busy, we will be drove. I quite understand.
I regret, dear Bosie, that I am indeed rather busy at present. I have a lecture to prepare for tomorrow. Take my card. You can always find me at the Albemarle Club. Leave a message for me there that you wish to see me, or else call on me here.
Thank you, Oscar.
On that joyful note, I shall say goodbye to you both.
Goodbye, Oscar. I wish you a pleasant lecture tomorrow.
Goodbye, Oscar. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mrs. Wilde. We were just about to leave.
This is Mr. Lionel Johnson, dear, and Lord Alfred Douglas.
I'm very pleased to meet you both. I have read some of your poems, Lord Alfred. They're not bad at all. I gather you are a poet as well, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am, I have written quite a few, though I do not dare to hope to reach the dizzy heights that your husband has achieved.
I become dizzier by the day at these heights, Mr. Johnson. And you, Lord Alfred, do you aspire to reach these dizzying heights?
I prefer not to become too busy. I do not have a head for heights. I leave that to the Wilde family. Oscar, we should be dressed. You already said you have much work to do.
Very well, gentlemen. We shall say our goodbyes. Bye, Lana. Goodbye, Rosie. Don't forget to contact me. You have my card.
Goodbye, Oscar. Goodbye to you, Mrs. Wilde.
Yes, goodbye to you, Mrs. Wilde. Goodbye, Oscar.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
My father is creating anguish and pain for me, unimaginable grief. Sleepless night.
As do so many peers of the realm. And if peers of the realm would only put the same effort into legislation as they would into tormenting the innocent, they would be greatly admired, rather than so universally hated and baited. The tormentors shall become the tormented, I say, and rightly so. Stretch them on the rack, I say. And if it be us that go to the gallows instead of them, then so be it.
Be serious for a moment, Oscar. What are we to do? He used only to tease me. Now he hates me and detests me. And I hate and I detest him. Now he turns his attention over to you because I'm seeing you. It is just a matter of time till we reach a moment when he will transfer his hatred onto you. He's doubling his interest and doubling his efforts. He has hired a private detective to follow me and report back to him on what I'm doing. He always seems to know what I'm doing. It's where I'm coming. But what I'm doing and who I am. At any particular moment. He's a detective. Might be outside this room now. For all we know. Terrible!
He would save a great deal of expense if you were to ask me for a schedule of our meetings, a copy of my diary, dates and times. I'd be quite happy to supply it to him. And if you got that private detective to come up here and see me, I would hand it to him so as to save him the pain of pounding cold pavements and looking through field glasses at our windows. I may even get the poor chap to check the scansion of my latest poem. What is your father going to do with all this information he's collecting?
He will hand us with it. Send it to the newspapers, I suppose, as to get a world newspaper. Make a scandal of it. He's bringing in every source to his disposal. He has become a devil. He's deranged. He's so awful. Creating a pain where there was none before. And not only for me. For you. And for my mother and my brothers and my friends. And for anyone I met. Or may I say alive. He has become a crazy man. He's injured of me. Of us. No about. He seeks only to hurt us and shame us and destroy.
He's steadily destroying himself. Shaming himself and his family. Ridiculing himself and his family. We will turn the tables on him. Bring him down.
Alternative is to go to France. Let us go abroad and never come back. Things are so different in France. Let us go to Belgium, Oscar.
Yes, of course. We will go to France and to Tangier. First, I must get my lawyer to see about this madman that is your father.
He sent the most terrible letter with most fearful threats. And I sent letter back. With even more fearful threats, and I closet his letter in mine. How does that make him angry still?
I have 5 more for you. They were sent here, marked for your attention.
You kept them from me.
Yes, of course, so you would not be hurt by them.
Read them to me, if you must.
No, I will not. There's not likely to be enough English in them to justify opening the envelopes and reading them. We shall leave them for posterities and for historians to study.
I don't wish to see them, more than burn them.
Don't upset yourself too much. I agree, it is very trying. Your father stopped by here the other day. Or one of his minions did. Left his card for me. A very strange thing to do.
His card?
Mhm.
He wrote on the card. Have you got a card?
I do love this drawer. It has everything in it. He wrote on the card, for Mr. Wilde, posing as a pseudomite. It's sodomite. He wrote pseudomite. He can't even spell it right. Your father can't even spell in his own language. I have so much contempt for that man. Pseudomite.
I have the card.
Don't destroy it. We need it. It's ammunition for us.
Are you John Sholto Douglas, Marquess of Queensberry?
I am.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Oh, I do.
You are charged by Her Majesty with criminally libeling Mr. Oscar Wilde by writing on the card, Exhibit A, that Mr. Wilde poses as a sodomite. Do you understand the charge?
I do.
How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty, by reason of justification and also warning in the public interest.
You stated that your age is 39. I think you are over 40. You were born on 16th of October, 1854.
Well, I have no wish to pose as being young. I am 39. Or 40. You have my certificate and that settles the matter.
You are of opinion, I believe, that there is no such thing as an immoral book.
Yes.
May I take it that you think your story, The Prince and the Acolyte, was not immoral?
It was worse. It was badly written.
Then there is a passage in The Picture of Dorian Gray. I quite admit that I have adored you madly. What do you say to that? Have you ever adored a young man madly?
I have never given adoration to anybody but myself.
I suppose you think that is a very smart thing.
Not at all.
Another passage. I have adored you extravagantly.
Do you mean financially?
Yes, financially. Do you think we are talking about finance?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't you? I hope I shall make myself very plain before I have done. Dorian Gray receives a book. Was the book to which you refer a moral book? Was not the book you had in mind of a certain tendency?
I decline to be cross-examined upon the work of another artist. It is an impertinence and a vulgarity.
What was the book?
The book I had in mind was a French novel by J.K. Huysmans, entitled Abrebois.
In this book...
I object, my lord. It is irrelevant.
Mr. Carson, please refrain from referring to that book or any book not by Mr. Wilde.
Quite so, my lord. The painter remonstrates with Dorian Gray about his infamous reputation and the fact that he has ruined the lives of several other men, including one who committed suicide and another who was obliged to leave England with a tarnished name. Does this passage not suggest a charge of unnatural vice?
It describes Dorian Gray as a man of very corrupt influence. But, as a matter of fact, I do not think one person can influence another, nor do I think there is any bad influence in the world.
A man may never corrupt a youth.
I think not.
Nothing would corrupt him.
Well, if you're talking separate ages.
No, sir, I am talking common sense.
I do not think one person can influence another.
You don't think flattering a young man, making love to him, in fact, would be likely to corrupt him?
No!
Let us move on to your letters. Why would a man of your age address a boy nearly 20 years younger as my own boy?
I was fond of him. I've always been fond of him.
Do you adore him?
No, but I've always liked him. I think it was a beautiful letter. It was a poem. I was not writing an ordinary letter.
Suppose a man who was not an artist had written that letter. Wouldn't you say it was an improper letter?
Well, a man who is not an artist could not have written that letter.
Why?
Because nobody but an artist could write it.
I ask you about Alphonse Conway, the lad at Worthing. Did he not sell newspapers at that kiosk on the pier?
No. It's the first I've heard of his connections with literature.
Did you take that lad to Brighton
Yes.
and buy him a suit of blue serge
Yes.
and a straw hat with a band of red and blue?
That was his unfortunate selection.
What did you do in Brighton?
We dined at a restaurant and stayed at the Albany Hotel. We took a sitting room and 2 bedrooms.
Stand down, Mr. Wilde. Closing arguments.
colleagues feel that what has already been admitted might not improbably induce the jury to say that Lord Queensberry, in using the word posing, was using a word for which there was sufficient justification. Consequently, if the case were to continue, we should be going through day after day matters of the most appalling character. In these circumstances, I am willing to accept a verdict of not guilty. Not guilty, having reference to the word posing. I trust this may make an end of the case.
Mr. Carson.
I can only say, as far as Lord Queensberry is concerned, that if there is a plea of not guilty, a plea that he has succeeded in his plea of justification, then I'm quite satisfied.
In that case, I say to you members of the jury that the only option open to you is to bring in a verdict of not guilty. You may confer amongst yourselves for a brief time only, and then bring in your verdict as effectively as you are able to do.
We have decided, my lord.
What is your verdict?
Not guilty, my lord.
And is that the verdict of you all?
It is, my lord.
I will get that man arrested. I have all the evidence I need to do it. I will turn the tables on that man, you'll see.
I urge you in the strongest terms to go abroad. Head to Dover, then try to get to France.
The waitress has gone. What to do?
We all think you must go to France. There is no other option, Oscar.
Even she says you must try to go to France.
Rosie said that he will arrange a bail for me. I really don't know what to do. I really don't.
Thomas Marlowe told me that he saw on a newspaper that a warrant has been issued for Oscar's arrest.
There are 2 policemen here, sir, to see Mr. Wilde.
Wake up! Got a visitor.
Who are my visitors?
Oh, solicitors or something. They'll be here in 5 minutes. 1 minute. So, be ready.
I'm ready now, Mr. Russell. I'm ready now, if it's convenient to you.
Oh, alright. Well, seeing as you're ready, Mr. W, I think we'll take you there now.
Shall I begin, Mr. Wilde? Where to begin? Now, we need to do 2 documents in connection with your impending bankruptcy. A disposition and a statement of affairs. You will then swear an oath that you agree. You will agree that your debts and liabilities total just under £4,000 and your assets nil. We had hoped that your relatives and friends and associates could raise sufficient funds to extinguish the debt and longer-term liabilities.
I had hoped the same. I was promised this much. I'm terribly disappointed that money has not been materialized. I'm bitterly disappointed.
Well, Prince Fleur de Lis wishes to be remembered to you. The gentleman is abroad at present.
Such a havoc. To create well is an act of faith and integrity. Even havoc can be created well, it seems.
Prisoner! Attention. Mr. Haldane is here to see you.
Mr. Haldane?
Secretary or something, pretty high up anyways. So look smart, be ready.
Is he coming in here?
Now I'm taking you into him.
I'm...
Good day, Mr. Wilde.
Good day to you, sir. This is the most pleasant event.
I have the good fortune in my position as a member of the Commission on Prisons to visit any prisoner I choose. So I chose you, Mr. Wilde.
In that case, I would say your good fortune is misfortune, sir.
Well said, Mr. Wilde. I am inclined to agree with you. I read with some alarm the other day that you are slowly going insane. Is that in any sense the case? Mr. Wilde, I used to know you as a brilliant man, and now you are socially notorious. But I have every confidence that you will become brilliant again.
One would surmise that my brilliance was always for the purpose of gaining social notoriety, but that now is only for the exploiting my brilliance.
Well said, Mr. Wilde. Very witty. See, already your brilliance is returning. You have not yet utilized your great literary gift. Perhaps this is because you have lived a life of pleasure and you have no great subject of your own. But now your misfortune could prove a blessing to your career, for now you have a great subject. But tell me, how are things here?
Prison life with its endless privation and restriction makes one rebellious. The most terrible thing about it is that it breaks one heart. Hearts are meant to be broken. But that is turns one heart to stone. But I have chosen humility above rebellion, and I feel calmer for it. Everything, regime, mood of dress, is designed to humiliate. The dreadful dress that makes sorrow so grotesque to look at.
Mr. Wilde, the mode of dress is designed to distinguish the free from the unfree.
Reformation of the dress is more important than reformation of the religion.
I will pass your comments on to Mr. Asquith. As Home Secretary, he can take action. In the meantime, I will endeavour to obtain writing materials for you, and perhaps then you may produce again freely.
All I have at the moment is Pilgrim Progress, and that doesn't satisfy me at all. I would cherish the work of Flaubert, among others, particularly Madame Bovary.
Mr. Wilde, Madame Bovary, I fear, is unlikely to be sanctioned, considering that the dedication of that advocate to his author is successfully defended on a charge of obscene publication. There's no hope for that one to be sanctioned, I fear, especially considering your position here. Perhaps the works of St. Augustine, Cardinal Newman, whom I know you admire. Walter Pater and Pascal may satisfy you.
Pascal Ponces and Pater's Renaissance would satisfy me very much.
I will see what I can do. In the meantime, I will visit your wife and children with your permission and bring them news of you.
That would be very kind of you, sir.
I must go, Mr. Wilde. Duty calls.
Thank you, Mr. Haldane. Prisoner waiting.
Take off your hat and cloak, Commander. Do sit down.
Mr. Wilde,
Who's that?
your wife is here.
My wife? Am I being let out?
No, it's after 5 o'clock. She's going to come visit you in here. Yeah.
Are you there, Oscar? It's pink constituents. Oscar. I have some terrible news for you. I hate to be the bearer of this news, but your mother has died. I wanted to tell you before others got to you. I did not want you to hear it from indifferent or alien lips.
Oh, my dear, my dear. My dear Constance, my darling. This news is so terrible to me. It shocks me to the core. I have no words to express my anguish and shame. She and my father bequeathed to me a noble, an honored name. I have dragged that name through the mire. Compared to them, I am a pitiful and pitiable being. It is but a synonym for folly. And the funeral.
She's buried already, Oscar. You would not be let out.
Things are so irreparable, so
I have
irredeemable a loss.
a few minutes only, Oscar. I want to talk to you about the children.
Yes.
What is to become of them? They have no father, no grandfather. They have only me and each other. We have little money, our income variable and uncertain.
If you have trouble in managing them, then you must seek out a guardian for them. A solicitor, perhaps, but a family friend better. You must not spoil them, particularly not Cyril. Lady Queensberry spoiled Lord Alfred Douglas terribly, much to his disadvantage. You must put out of your mind any prospect of my helping you.
Yes.
I'm a life wreck. I'm lonely and wretched. I feel burned out. I may die in here. And worse, I cannot come to you, which makes me very sad. I miss my boys.
Can you not begin to write, Oscar? It will occupy your mind and you may earn money by it.
I have discovered what a difficult craft playwriting is.
Time's up, Mrs. Wilde.
Thank you, Warder. Goodbye, Oscar. Do try to write. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Constance. Thank you for coming.
Bonjour, monsieur. Comment allez-vous?
Je vais très bien. Merci et vous.
Vous êtes anglais, monsieur?
Je suis irlandais, madame, un gentleman irlandais.
Un gentleman irlandais? Très rare, monsieur.
More than rare, madam, practically extinct. Our extinction is quite close.
May I demonstrate this machine to you, sir?
What does it do, madam?
It will record your voice, sir, if you speak into the horn. You have a most beautiful voice, sir, if I may say so. Please, lean forward and speak into the horn. Then, after a short while, I will play back your voice to you, sir. You will be surprised.
How wonderful is modern science.
There. Now we should be able to hear your voice.
In Reading jail, by Reading town, there is a pit of shame, and in it lies a wretched man eaten by teeth of flame. In a burning, winding sheet he lies, and his grave has got no name. And there till Christ call forth the dead, in silence let him lie. No need to waste the foolish tear or heave the windy sigh. The man had killed the thing he loved, and so he had to die. And all men kill the thing they love. By all let this be heard. Some do it with a bitter look, some with a flattering word. The coward does it with a kiss, the brave man with a sword. This is from the Ballad of Reading Jail by Oscar Wilde.
I will endeavour to play back your voice to you, sir, if you will be patient. The cylinder is only a few seconds long, so only a short part will have been recorded, regrettably. Sir, now we should be able to hear your voice.
And all men kill the thing they love, by all let this be heard. Some do it with a bitter look, some with a flattering word. The coward does it with a kiss, the brave man with a sword. This is from the Ballad of Reading Jail by Oscar Wilde.
Now then, sir, isn't that a remarkable thing?
Quite remarkable. How long is the life of these cylinders? Will people hear it 100 years from now?
It should last an eternity if cared for, sir, so people will surely hear it 100 years from now.
If you care for it as I do, it will surely endure. Like your soul, miss.
Those are such sweet words, sir. How kind of you to say them. Are you, by any chance, Mr. Oscar Wilde, the writer of the poem you just now recited?
I'm here.
But you are so famous, sir.
Infamous, rather.
You were in prison, were you not? I have heard about you, read about you.
Yes. Many of my best friends are in prison. In fact, all of my dearest friends are still in prison.
An incredible experience.
Experience is the name men give to their mistakes.
He may yet live a while, perhaps 2 months, if only he could drink less.
His general condition is very serious. His gaiety is deceiving. In his cheerful moments, he'd have one believe he's going to live for years yet.
In despondent moments, he would have us believe that he will die tomorrow and would not care if that occurred. He's seemingly resigned to death.
And then talk of visiting some sunny place like Nice. Quite confusing. I'm confused.
We will be back tomorrow at the same time, Oscar.
That's delightful with Robert, delightful. I am so lucky to have a friend such as you. We should all go out in the town tonight and celebrate the fact that we are together again.
That would be delightful, Oscar. But did I tell you that I visited Père Lachaise Cemetery?
To have a party there.
No, to sample the ghouls and ghosts of All Souls Day.
Did you meet in it?
No one I knew.
Have you chosen a place for my tomb?
There are 1 or 2 nice spots available. Have you chosen an epitaph?
Not yet. I don't know whether it should be funny or sad, poetic or dull, tragic or comic.
All 6 perhaps. Though that would be quite a long epitaph. You need a rather large tomb.
Yes, I'm much thinner than before.
Good morning, Doctor. How is he?
His breathing is very heavy. I would give him 2 days, that's my professional judgment.
Oscar? Oscar, can you hear me? Oscar, it's Robert. Raise your hand if you can hear me.
I'll leave you now, Mr. Ross. I'll be back again tomorrow at about the same time, Mr. Wilde.
Oscar. Oscar, I'm going to go and fetch a priest. I will be back as soon as I can manage it.
Mr. Wilde, you don't know me. My name is Father Cuthbert Dunn, an Irishman, a priest attached to the Passionate Church of St. Joseph in Avenue Hotch. I understand you wish to enter the Holy Roman Catholic Church. Please nod if this is the case and if you understand me. I will now administer conditional baptism, extreme unction, and will recite special prayers for the occasion. I also may utter last sacraments, if appropriate.
Tis the last rose of summer left blooming alone. All her lovely companions have faded and gone. No flower of her kindred, no rosebud is nigh to reflect back her blushes and give sigh for sigh. So soon may I follow when friendships decay, and from love's shining circle the gems drop away, when true hearts lie withered and fond ones have flown. Oh, who would inhabit this bleak world alone? Oh, who would inhabit this bleak world alone?
Rest in peace, dear Father.
Yes, death. Death must be so beautiful, to lie in the soft brown earth with the grasses waving above one's head, and to listen to silence.
You have no yesterdays and no tomorrows.
To forget time, to forget life, to rest at peace.
And you can help me. You can open the portal to the death house.
For love is always with you. For love is stronger than death is.